Hey, hello. Hope you can hear me well. Our project, Teacher Education about Multilingualism, or TEAM for short, is first of all financed by the Erasmus Plus program of the European Union. We are a strategic partnership for higher education. And besides that, we're an international team of experts dedicated to educating and supporting teachers who work in multilingual classrooms. Our main goal is to help teachers create inclusive and effective learning environments that foster language development and academic success for all students. We believe that all teachers have the potential to become experts in multilingual education, and we are here to guide you along the way. About us, this is us, basically, or at least those of us who were able to attend our meeting in Rijeka last year. And the partners in the project are Adam Mickiewicz University in Poznan, then we have Thessaloniki, Barilan, Krakow, Siena, Edinburgh, Granada, Constance, and Rijeka. So this is us. And what we do, we are preparing a Moodle course that's freely available. So if you take down the link, you can join the course at any time. And today we want to take you through the course to actually show what's there by now. The course consists of 4 modules plus an introduction, and we will share the time to present the content of these modules. Then we have a YouTube profile, which you're also welcome to visit, where all the audiovisual materials are uploaded. And of course, we have a website. So if you haven't managed to take down the links, you can just scan the QR code that will take you to the project homepage and more information about the project. So now it's over to Sharon.
Hi. So I'll be telling you a little bit about the first module, Linguistic Approaches to Multilingualism, which I've been part of the team that was leading it together with Theo Marini and a couple of other researchers who contributed a lot. I cannot move it. Okay, next slide. As you go into the Moodle, you can click on the Linguistic Approaches to Multilingualism, and then it opens up, and you can see that we have basically 3 sections, which are different aspects we focused on. The first section addresses different types of multilingual development and the issues surrounding the notion of the native speaker in light of research on first language attrition. The second section deals with the development of different linguistic subsystems, sounds, vocabulary, grammar, across different groups of multilingual speakers, and also deals with code switching. And the third section tackles language development in multilingual children with atypical language development, and the focus is both on DLD and ASD. So if you go into the first section, I'm just going to exemplify through this one, then just briefly say a few things about the 3 others. So first of all, you have a brief description of the content, including the learning outcome, learning objective, learning outcome. And then when you click on read, then you get into the content itself. So on the left-hand side, you can see that there is this menu or this table of content, which tells you exactly what there is. And you can either click on each of them or just scroll down to get a lot of information in different manners. So one possibility is screencasts that are accompanied with quizzes. So you can see here 2 samples of screencasts, one on what is bilingualism and multilingualism. The other is on issues with native speaker first language attrition. And each is accompanied with a quiz. There are also testimonials. Here are just two examples. One of a mother of a preschool child, a bilingual preschool child with typical language development, and another of a Turkish heritage speaker in Germany. But there are many of them, and I think that one of the big advantages is the fact that there are so many of them in one place, and very, very useful for anybody who wants to train and learn about bilingualism and multilingualism. Next. And there are also interviews with experts, again, in one place, one topic. So we have here, for example, an interview with Tanya Kupic about dialects and heritage languages. And on the other hand, an interview with Antonella about language attrition. And again, her perspective on it, but it's also, it connects with all the rest of the material and creates this a whole unit. The second topic is typical language development in multilingual speakers. And again, there are the goals or learning outcomes. And there are some screencasts, like the example I've put here, with special implications for the classroom, quizzes accompanying them. And here you can see at the bottom an interview with Dr. Armon, whom we've heard earlier, if you were here earlier, talking about code switching, explaining the motivation for code switching. And if we go to the third section, sorry. So the third section is about atypical language development in multilingual children. And there again, there are some videos and some screencasts that tell you about the different two populations we are addressing here. But what I find more interesting, and this is why I chose to put it here, is testimonial of parents of a mother of a child with ASD and a mother of a bilingual child with DLD, as well as a testimonial of an SLP who works with bilingual children, and quizzes, of course. So I think this gives you a sort of picture of what the first module is about, and I'm going to invite you to join us and hear about more.
Then the second module focuses on neurocognitive processes in bilinguals and in language acquisition. So there are two sections here. In module 2, one focusing on neurocognitive aspects of bilingualism, the other one focusing on neurocognitive aspects of language acquisition. When we go into the section 1 focuses on processes that occurring in multilingualism, including neuroanatomy and brain circuits, and discusses how exposure to multiple languages impacts cognitive processing. So the focus is on processes here. Well, section 2 explores these processes during language learning, addressing different aspects of second and third language learning, as well as delves into different aspects of bilingualism, such as neuroanatomy, learning strategies, learning contexts, memory systems, and individual differences. So basically from section 1, you can find out what takes place in the brain. And section 2 is more focused on learning in the classroom. And again, here we have a summary and learning objectives, learning outcomes. This section is actually a project still in progress, so there's not many materials there yet. But in section 1, we have this wonderful infographic about the organization of the languages in a bilingual brain and how they're processed. Then in section 2 on language acquisition, we have screencasts and quizzes, as well as interviews with experts. Here the focus is, in these sample materials, the focus is on implicit and explicit learning, as well as learning contexts. And there's a research study comparing two bilingual programs. Okay, over to Martina.
Okay, so we now move on to Module 3, Social and Cultural Aspects. This module considers a variety of issues related to multilingualism in the society in different cultural contexts. Sorry, thank you. It consists of 3 sections, the first of which introduces and explores issues relating to the identity of emergent bilinguals, to the concept of interculture and linguistic and cultural mediation. The second section discusses notions related to language policies, and the third...
Of course.
Sorry. Someone, okay, sorry. While the third section elaborates on intercultural psychology issues relevant to working with migrants and refugees. So in the first section, in particular, you will find relevant information about the role of non-essentialist approaches in intercultural encounters, as well as information on the professional profile of cultural mediators and the construction of the social and linguistic identity of new speakers. After completing this section, teachers will be able to acknowledge cultural diversity in society and better manage it in the classroom. They will also understand the nature of cultural mediation and interculturality from a non-essentialist point of view. And finally, recognize potential risks of cultural essentialisms, stereotypes, and prejudices. And well, to achieve these objectives, it was deemed appropriate to divide the section into 4 parts. First, focusing on the theoretical background of the concept of interculturality, and then looking at the link between these and multilingual education. After that, we move on to to examining the notion of cultural mediation, then applied to educational contexts, looking at what a cultural mediator is not, what he or she is, and what he or she could be. Sorry. All these topics were also explored in an interview held by my colleague Andrea Scibetta with Professor Adrian Holiday. Well, within the, sorry for the noise. Within the team platform, we find in this section screencasts, quizzes, and additional readings, such as a short paper on mediation as an instrument to support multilingual and intercultural education. Section 2, as anticipated, focuses on language policies. In this section, teachers will get acquainted with the different components, outcomes, and challenges of language policies in multilingual societies and families. In particular, after completing this section, teachers will be able to discuss the components of language policy in society, school, and family, pointing out the social factors contributing to language shift and language maintenance. To this end, first of all, the notion of family language policy is introduced with many testimonies from first and second generation immigrants. In addition to direct testimonies, references and reflections emerge from the most recent research on the subject, also and above all in relation to the factors capable of supporting language maintenance or vice versa, leading to language shift. Also, case studies are presented here. For example, the revitalization of an endangered language, Lower Serbian, is discussed in a screencast. Finally, section 3 focuses on issues in cross-cultural psychology, by navigating through which participants will be able to understand and identify the legal, linguistic, and cultural profile of different refugee groups and individuals. And they will also recognize psychological issues of migrant students in the school context. Within the first subsection, ideas, testimonies, and interviews relating to refugee education are offered, while in the second subsection, we find something a little bit different, something entitled Migration in Action. So in this subsection, there is the link to a roadmap developed specifically to guide teachers between multiple factors that must be considered when working with culturally and linguistically diverse children. Following the roadmap, teachers will be able to identify critical factors that play a role in accommodating migrant students in school and better navigate through challenges related to cultural and linguistic diversity. The roadmap offers different types of paths and can be explored both holistically, as can be seen from, for example, in the figure on the right of the slide, or by answering question after question, so reflecting from time to time on the elicited aspects. Last but not least, Module 4, Educational Factors and Strategies, is the one most specifically oriented towards the educational and didactic components. In it, it's made up of two main sections. The first section deals with the issue of managing multilingualism in the classroom, from language awareness of teachers and students to the design of and plurilingual programs to support academic language development in plurilingual students. The second section focuses on teaching strategies and teaching approaches in various multilingual contexts. The first section aims to be an introduction to the topic, so dealing with the very role of languages within the educational field, dealing with, and therefore with the function of language education itself. A specific focus is also aimed to approaches to support the development of academic language. As always, multimodal materials composed of screencasts, quizzes, and readings will guide teachers in reflecting and discovering the key notions and main studies on language education. Second issue, on the other hand, is very heterogeneous and offers a broad overview of contexts, audiences, and teaching techniques, assuming a rather practical configuration. In the first section, participants will be, in this section, participants will be introduced to issues regarding refugee and migrant education, but emphasis will also be placed on pluralistic approaches to language education and their impact on the maintenance of linguistic and cultural diversity. The materials are very varied. Sorry again. For example, subsection 2.2, multilingual learners of additional languages, is set up to encourage a sort of dialogue with teachers, so with quizzes and guiding questions posed at the beginning, so before screencasts and interviews. Subsection 2.3, on the other hand, focuses on pluralistic approaches to languages and cultures, then proposing an in-depth analysis of two specific approaches, Evelolang and intercomprehension, also offering an overview of successful projects and teaching resources. And finally, the last section, the last subsection focuses on the pedagogy of translanguaging, first offering a theoretical framework for the notion, and then showing various operational proposals for educational activities to be implemented in schools of different types and levels, from kindergarten to secondary school. Sorry again for the noise. So, Anna, I don't know if you want to conclude.
Thank you, Martina. So to conclude, once again, you can either scan the QR code if you want to follow us, or save the links to the website, the Moodle, and the YouTube profile. Thank you very much.